Hello, everybody. Tis Avalon. All right, so I got two things I want to talk to you guys about today. So it's going to be a little bit of a longer video. Thought about going live, and I'm like, no, I'll just do it. On YouTube, when certain videos pop up in your recommendations, right? And so one popped up, and it was a Fox News video. I'm not into Fox News, but it was of a fentanyl heroin addict. And there was, she's on there telling her story about her experience with fentanyl and how our president now is not doing anything about the fentanyl problems in this country, blah, 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 blah. Neither has any other president. So let's stop putting blame, all right? But anyway, that's not why I'm making the video. And so the guy asked her, the interviewer asked her what her views on of people giving out free needles, the facilities that give out free needles, and what does she think about it? Oh, she said it's terrible because you're making it easier for people to use. Really? Okay. I am a heroin addict. And anything I could put up into a needle, right? I reused my needles till they were bent like this. And I also got Hep C. And I also gave it to a bunch of other people that I shared needles with. Now, I'm from a small town. I was using it in a small town, Owego, New York. And we had nowhere to get needles. There was no needle exchanges in small town USA. There isn't here either in this small town that I live in. And so there's a lot of sharing of needles going on. They are being left in parks, on the ground, along the sidewalks, playgrounds. And so here's the thing. You're not going to make it easier for a heroin addict to use because they're going to use whether you give them needles or not. People find a way, right? But what's going to happen is they're going to be, so when these needle exchanges, and these facilities that even allow people to use their drugs in the facilities in some of the bigger cities, is keeping those dirty needles off the street because they take them and you exchange your dirty ones for clean ones. Therefore, they're off the street. People are going to shoot heroin. You giving needles is for your protection. It's for the public's protection. Not so we can just help addicts use. It's for you, for the person that's walking down the street, or for that child, your child's playing in playgrounds. Those needles are not going to be laying around and being thrown on the ground. And it doesn't seem like it's rocket science to figure that out. So for a drug addict to come on national television and you are given the power of speech on this huge platform, Fox News, and you're out there saying, you shouldn't have needle exchanges and these places shouldn't, it's just blah, is so damaging to those of us who have a different perspective. And listen, I would never have given other people Hep C if I had if I had access to clean needles. I would have never took a risk of shooting up with needles bent and just dirty, nasty. It's a dirty, nasty thing. And for people that, these cities that have these facilities you go into and you use, the needles are on the ground. Also, they are watched. You're not going to have people out there dying in the ditch from overdoses. So it's going to save on ambulance calls and taxpayer dollars. So it's for the public's safety that needle exchanges and safe shoot-up places are, people are trying to build them and trying to implement them in their cities. It's not for the addict, because the addict's going to do what the addict's going to do. Okay? All right. You got my opinion on that one. So, my next thing is, I just watched Leonard's newest video, her opiate fix TV. I think he changed the name of his channel, though I can't ever remember. Her Fix, maybe, TV? Anyway, he was just talking about how, people are bashing Kr8tom, and it's causing people to feel that people are shaming other people. Addicts are shaming other addicts for MAT, medically assisted treatment for addiction, whether it's methadone, Suboxone, also Kr8tom, anything that can help you not use. People are shaming others because they think that if you have to use something for addiction, that you're weak and that you're really not clean. All right. It just burns my ass because I get people coming on my channel, leaving comments about how I'm ruining people's lives and I'm destroying people's lives. I'm actually killing people because I'm encouraging Kr8tom use. I block their asses. I block them and delete their comments because I don't think that other people should see that and feel ashamed because they are on medically assisted treatment or are Kr8tom. So, for those of you who don't know my story, I was a long-term opiate addict, and in the last few years of my addiction, I turned to heroin, Dilaudid, anything I could put into a needle, basically. And I went to treatment on my own. Just decided I was done one day because my best friend, who I used with, she got clean and sober, and I wanted to. I was done. So I thought. So I went to treatment. Everything cold turkey. I was using up to 20 bags of heroin a day. Dilaudid 8s when I could get them, which was quite often. Snorting any kind of opiate I could get. So my tolerance was through the roof. And, excuse me. I think I got COVID, so I'm not feeling very good. And, so, let me see, where was I? And so I'm not just some pill popping person who got a little out of control with pain meds and, snorted a bag of heroin. I was fully into addiction. I was fully addicted. My tolerance was through the roof, and I quit. One day, I said, that's enough. And I went through 12 days of severe heroin withdrawal. Okay? Severe. We're talking about severe. All right? Not just some sweats and runny nose and, diarrhea. I've talked about it. Go look back at my other videos. I'm not going to get into it again, but just take my word for it. And I didn't use anything to help me. I went to treatment. I went to 30 days rehab. Then I went to a halfway house for a year with nothing. Nothing. Cold turkey the whole time. I get out. I go to sober living for a couple months. And then Bernie and I start going out. We move in together. And for 2 years, I suffered for nothing because I did not realize that Kr8tom was out there, Now, Bernie, my boyfriend, he would be a husband. If I could marry him, he'd marry me, but I would lose all my Medicaid and my SSI. So we just lived together, but he's my life partner. I'm gonna be with him for the rest of my life. But he was a drug and alcohol counselor. And he hated Suboxone. He thought it was just this horrible thing that they sold it, they abused it, and because he's an alcoholic. He has no idea what addiction is. Zero. He's been, I think, 13 or 14 years now without a drink. He's an AA freak. Okay? He is AA all the way. So he thought, because he worked in this halfway house, this then he went into a clinic, worked in a clinic, drug and alcohol clinic. He had a set opinion. The clinic he worked in gave out Suboxone. And he kept his mouth shut because it was his job and he did it, but I knew that he was anti-Suboxone. And he thought that just AA was going to cure people. If you really seriously want to be better, you just go to AA, you work the program, and you don't use it no matter what, and you're good. You should be good. What's wrong? It seems pretty simple, right? Then he watched me suffer for 2 years. And when I say suffer, my brain was not resetting from my severe opiate addiction. And I cried every day. I was hanging on for dear life. And if it wasn't for Bernie supporting me and being there for me, I would have never stayed clean. I wouldn't have. I know it, as sure as I'm sitting here. I'm telling you that I stayed clean for him. He told me that if I used, we were done. He was not going to live with an active drug user. And then, after the 2 years, I told him, I said, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. I have chronic depression. No antidepressant has ever worked for me. I have addiction issues that I gotta have help, or else I'm going to have to say goodbye to you, because I cannot. It's not worth living. Suffering every damn day. It's not worth it. And 2 years is a long time to go through that darkness. Because, when you use opiates to that extent for that period of time, your brain chemically changes. There are permanent changes to your brain. Permanent chemical changes. And your brain will never be the same. So, those of you who used for a couple years and got clean and didn't need to use anything, well then hallelujah to you. But there are some of us that have had long-term heroin addiction, and our brains are fucked. The dopamine, the serotonin, all those feel-good chemicals in your brain forgets how to make them. They didn't have to. It didn't have to. For all those years, you were flooding your brain with all of that dopamine. Brain shuts down. Says, I don't do this shit anymore. So then when you come off of all of that, you're still not producing it. So you are in a dark, horrible place of depression, lethargy. It's horrible. So I told Bernie, I have to try Suboxone. The only place to get Suboxone that I knew of in my small town was at the local drug and alcohol clinic. And you had to go through all the rigmarole to get in. You had to go to the groups. You had to do so. But I was willing to try anything. So I did. I signed up for that. It took me a while to get in. I had to go to all these pre-appointments, all this stuff, and I finally was put on Suboxone. And I have to say, I thought it would do more for me than it did. When I first started, yeah, it was like, wow, this is quite a difference. But I started realizing that it wasn't doing as much for me. But I was afraid. I was afraid to come off. Because and so, but they also made me leave. I wasn't an addict. I hadn't used in 10 years. So here I am taking up space in this clinic, and they were like, there's a doctor out in this other town, way out, about an hour away, an hour or so, and he takes cash, and you can, go there. So I did. I started going there, left the clinic, and started going to this other doctor out, and it was just too freaking expensive. I could not. He wanted to see me every 3 weeks, and it was $200 each time. Now my insurance paid for the medication, but it didn't pay for his office visits, which he charged. It's a scam what these doctors are doing. They are charging people. Oh, and you know what he said to me on the phone when I found out how much it was? Well, what did you do to get money to support your habit? Really? I couldn't believe it. You want me to go out and start selling my ass to get Suboxone from you? What kind of a piece of shit doctor are you? But you know what? I was desperate. So I did it for a little while. I paid that. And Bernie helped me pay it. He saw how much I suffered. He saw me in my darkest spot, and we talked back and forth about it. Finally, he's like, you got to try it. I mean, how do I freaking know what's right for you? You go ahead and try. So, so Bernie was helping me pay for this doctor, but I couldn't do it anymore. And it wasn't doing what I thought it would in the long term. So I one day was on YouTube looking at addiction videos, and this Kr8tom thing popped up, and I'm like, oh, okay, I just got a text, I don't know. But anyway, easily distracted. So I saw this Kr8tom video, and I watched it. I'm like, Kr8tom? What in the hell is that? And so I started researching it. And I started watching all these videos about Kr8tom. Good, bad, the ugly. I watched them. And I decided that I was going to try it. And I ordered some. And that was 3 or 4 years ago. And I've been on Kr8tom ever since. And it's okay if you got all kind of money to pay for Suboxone, and you live in a city where you can go to methadone clinic every day to get your dose. And it's okay, all that stuff. That's fine and dandy, and it's great if you can do it without assistance. It's great if you can do it without using anything. I can't. I tried. So I'm one of those people who've been on both sides of the ticket. I white-knuckled it for 2 years, people. So you can come on there and tell me that I just need to, people just need to do a white knuckle. No. That's why people relapse so much, because they're told by idiots that bash and judge that if you're not clean if you use something to help your addiction. Oh my God, the ignorance! It's complete and utter ignorance, and it kills people. It's killing people left and right, telling people that just going to AA is going to cure your heroin addiction. If you just work the steps hard enough, it'll cure your heroin addiction. No, it won't. I did AA. I do AA. I followed the AA program. It wasn't enough for me. It taught me how to change certain things in my life, certain behaviors, different ways of thinking. Without AA, I mean, yes, it really helped me, but it wasn't enough. You cannot cure chemical changes by AA. You can't. So you're telling somebody that they just need to deal. You just need to suck it up and white knuckle. How long you been clean and sober? 7 years? No? Were you a full-time heroin addict for years? No? Well, then shut the fuck up, because you're judging and you don't know what you're talking about. All right. Anyway, so I just get off on this rant. All right. So if you don't agree, if you don't think that Suboxone and methadone and Kr8tom are for you, then don't take them. And if you can do it, and you can have a long-term sobriety. Long-term now. We're not talking you've been clean 30 days. We're not talking 90 days. We're not talking 6 months. We're not even talking a year. Do you have multiple years working a program, changing your behaviors and thoughts? Do you have long-term recovery? Your way, doing it your way? If you do, and you're one of those rare people, then hallelujah for you. You're rare. It's very rare that a full-time heroin addict can go white knuckle for 7 years and not be freaking miserable as hell. So, I just want to let you know, those of you who feel shamed and allow people to put you down, tell them to go piss up a rope. If anybody comes at you because you're on medically assisted treatment for your addiction, or you take Kr8tom for your addiction or depression or pain because you can't take pain meds because you're an addict, then tell them to go piss up a rope. Don't listen to it. Just don't listen to it. Walk away. Block them on. You don't need to hear that negativity. So, hang in there. Stay clean and sober today. Take your Kr8tom. Take your Suboxone. Another thing. Oh my gosh, I've been going for almost 30 minutes. I was talking to somebody today, and I was telling them that how I've worked on my credit score. My credit score, I just looked, is at 765. I've worked very hard getting my credit back, and I have credit cards that have large credit lines on them that I don't use because I don't, I'm not irresponsible with them. And I worked hard for my recovery. So when I tell you that Kr8tom is safe, my life is, my house, I have things now. I have not relapsed. I don't have a needle in my arm. Look at how pretty my house is. This is my house. I got a big old flat screen TV. My house is nice. And I take Kr8tom. And have been for a few years now. So all that bullshit about how it leads you and you overdose and you misuse it and you abuse it and it's just nothing. There's no difference between Kr8tom and heroin. You all come talk to me. I've been there on each side. I've rebuilt my life and I have long-term sobriety and recovery. And Kr8tom's helped me along the way. So is Suboxone. It was part of my journey. So hang in there. Don't listen to the bullshit from other people because you are the only one that can decide for yourself what you need. And I would rather you do that than a needle in the arm or a crack pipe to your lips or drinking yourself to death, whatever your addiction is. Yeah. All right. Well, now that I've talked for 26 minutes, I hope that you all are having a good day. Brightest blessings and Goddess bless.